guys, it's Leanne, and I am super excited to be filming the Sherlock Holmes tag. This tag originated from the wonderful Winx from Winx Ink, who is having an entire month dedicated to Sherlock Holmes. You can find more wonderful Sherlock Holmes content on her channel, which I will link down below, and you can find all of the SH Reads discussions at this wonderful hashtag. Winx knows that I am a devoted Sherlock lover, and so I am so glad to be doing this one, and I'm not going to ramble anymore, I'm just going to start. The first question is Sherlock. Who is your favourite Sherlock-inspired character, or which is your favourite actor who portrayed Sherlock? I am a terrible traditionalist in this regard, but my favourite Sherlock Holmes is portrayed by Jeremy Brett. He took part in the 1980s adaptation, and he is who I think of when I think of Sherlock Holmes. He was also really different for me. He was a type of actor that I had never seen up until the point where I watched this show, and he was my first hint at a kind of male diversity. Well, yeah, I have a lot to thank him for. Question 2 is Watson. Everyone needs a sidekick. Who is yours, or what is your favourite book friendship? I'm going to answer both of these because we're all well aware that Claire from the Book Fox is my bookish sidekick on and offline. But my favourite book friendship actually takes part in a series that I want to hero more this year. It was the first ever fantasy series that I read, and that was The Belgariad by David Eddings. This is book 1 of the first series, Pawn of Prophecy, and my absolute favourite friendship in it is Silk and Barak. Silk is an actor and a liar and a thief, and he is described pretty much as the human weasel quite a few times during the course of this book. Barak is a massive Cherrick warrior, which is the equivalent to a Viking. So he has the flaming red hair, the massive beard, the belly, the arms, and the massive swords. And neither of them really share the same worldview, but it makes for the unlikeliest and most wonderful friendship I have ever read, and it was actually my first book ship. I shipped them quietly in my heart. Question 3 is Mrs. Hudson. What an underappreciated character. What book or character do you think deserves more attention? Hands down, I give this to Isabella, to Lady Trent herself. She battles against this quasi-Victorian society to be the first lady to be able to put together expedition forces of her own to go to all sorts of far-off places and study these animals that she's fallen in love with. I don't think that this series gets enough attention on BookTube. Question 4 is Lestrade. He may be a friend, but there's no question that Holmes finds him irritating. What book character do you find annoying? And that award would have to go to Captain Hastings from the Agatha Christie Poirot novels. I love Hastings. I really do. Again, I massively ship Poirot and Hastings. They are clearly just boyfriends who are very dissimilar. But he's proud, he's stupid, he really wants to be the famous one and gets them into a lot of very dodgy circumstances, and he kind of only thinks about blonde women. Question 5 is Mycroft. Sherlock's brother and lover of tasty noms. What is your favourite bookish snack to have while reading? When I am reading, I go into this zone where nothing else exists, and I kind of lose the use of both of my hands independently from each other. So if I am to be seen snacking, it is usually tea, and that usually has to be in one of those covered thermos cups because otherwise it goes cold by the time that I take a break and realise it's still there. And sometimes crisps, because I am a savoury lover before I am a sweet lover, although you know I do like both. But I have weird things about getting grease on the pages from the crisps or chips if you're American or Canadian. So yeah, I don't really do bookish snacks. I just gorge after the huge period of reading. Question 6 is Moriarty. The only villain who could match the great detective's mind. Who is the scariest villain for you? And for me, this is always going to go to Mrs. Danvers from Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, because there is always the question mark over whether Mrs. Danvers is actually a villain. She is misguided and she is in love, and so she is freaking terrifying. Danvers projects half of the aura that is menacing in this book, and that is a lot of aura to come from one person. And ultimately, I think Danvers is scary because she really poses the question of how far would you go, and she answers it with as far as I need to. Sometimes we all need something to relax us, and for Sherlock that was quiet time with his pipe and no Watson. What is your go-to self-care method? This is an odd question for me because in 2017 self-care is going to be one of my new priorities, and historically I am actually not very good at it. So one of my favourite self-care methods this year is enjoying new tea blends, ones that relax me, and the other thing that always makes me feel happy is coming into my study because I have the poster wall with all of the pretties, I have all of my books around me, just destroy everything, Leanne, and I have my desk which is filled with happy stuff, and usually I have the cats because they get fed in here, so it's like my cozy little book nook and I'm surrounded by stuff. Question 8 is violin. Despite his highly scientific and analytical ways, Sherlock Holmes was also a great musician. What's your favourite way to be artistic and creative? I write, and that's also one of the things that I am attempting to do more in 2017. I have decided that while I work on my ideal project ideas in the background, I am just going to pick a scenario and I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to write as much of it as possible and take it to as many places as I can just to get into the habit of writing consistently. And if I can save some of that stuff for a project, that's great, but otherwise I am just exploring and practicing my craft, which I think is important. And I also make bookmarks and I colour, and I am getting into bookbinding. Question 8 is magnifying glass. Holmes always looked for the tiny details in a case. What is your favourite quote or line? Because we've already talked about David Eddings in this video, I will go for one of my favourite Eddings quotes. Nothing that ever happens is so unimportant that it doesn't change things. Question 10 is the Baker Street Irregulars, Holmes's little ragtag gang, and it is essentially, who do you tag? I tag Vanessa from Chbosky, Kitty from Kitty G, Stephanie from Time to Read, Sam at Novels and Nonsense, and Kirsty from Melbourne on My Mind. Can't wait to see your responses, guys. I like tags. I should do more tags. I'm going to do more tags. See you guys soon. Bye!